Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'd encourage you to grab a seat close to the front up here. I'm so thrilled to announce this afternoon's Steve Wilkins Professional Speaker Series event. Instead of inviting one person to talk this afternoon, we've invited 8. So I welcome you to this alumni panel. So welcome and thank you to Trevor, Sophia, Dave, Brian, Roy, and Greg. What you're about to hear are 8 very different stories, and I want to thank you all in advance for your vulnerability and your willingness to come and tell your stories. So thank you. My colleagues Allison and Kate are going to moderate this afternoon. We are planning to be here until 2 o'clock, and then there is coffee and snacks in the back. You should feel free to help yourself over the next hour. Over to you, Allison.
Great. Well, I will just say once again, thank you all for being here. My Italian voice carries. Okay. So to kick us off, and this is a question for everybody. If you could please briefly introduce yourself, tell us how long you were at Carroll, or for what grades, where you attended after Carroll, and what you're up to now. And I'm happy to repeat that question at any time.
Yeah, I think I got it. My name is Greg O'Brien. I graduated from Carroll in '99. I was here from 5th to 8th grade. After I left Carroll, I went to Proctor Academy for high school, University of Colorado for undergrad, where I graduated with a degree in environmental sciences. I then went to Boston College for law school and business school, and I'm now senior corporate counsel at DraftKings.
My name is Roy Dow. I was here as well from 5th to 8th grade and graduated or left in 1999. After I was here, I went to my public high school in Belmont, Massachusetts. I see you. I got you. And then for college, I went to Wheaton College down in Norton. And then from there, I went to UMass Boston and got a master's in special education. And I'm currently working as a special education history teacher at Brookline High and doing some soccer coaching as well.
I'm Brian Perla. I graduated in 2014. I was here from 5th through 9th grade, and then I went to the Winchendon School in Winchendon, Massachusetts. And then from there, I went to Stanford University, where I studied product design. Right now, I'm currently running a company that I started in Stanford, and that's what I'm doing full time, back in Massachusetts.
My name is David Zampies. I went here for 5th and 6th grades in middle school. I also have a son that's in the middle school right now currently. I was back in the 80s when I went. I went from here to the Rivers School and then on to UMass and worked for some very large technical companies, Fortune 100 companies, and now I do consulting.
I'm Dave Vanforth, and I went to Carroll. Well, I left Carroll in 2011 and was here from 2nd grade through 8th grade. After Carroll, I went to Proctor Academy, and after that, I went to Wentworth and studied mechanical engineering with a minor in manufacturing. I now own and run a company that does manufacturing in the automotive and aerospace industry, and own a company that does collector car storage and management.
Hi, my name is Sophia. I went to Carroll from 5th to 8th grade. I graduated in 2014 from here. After Carroll, I went to the Foreman School and graduated in 2018. This past May, I just graduated from LaSalle University, majoring in creative advertising and a minor in marketing. And I'm currently in their master's program, getting my MBA, and I work for Clark's as a wholesale marketing coordinator.
Hi, I'm Trevor Yando. I went to Carroll from 6th to 8th grade and then went to St. Sebastian's High School. And then from there, I went to Villanova University where I studied computer science. Now I work at Optum, who's a part of United Health Group, and I work as an app developer there on their rewards team.
I'm Trevor McLean. I graduated from Carroll in 2014. After that, I went to Brewster Academy in New Hampshire. And then after that, I went to Emerson College. I studied communication, also played a little basketball. And now I'm working at St. Sebastian's. My main hat is Assistant Director of Admissions, but I'm also coaching, I'm advising, I'm doing a lot.
Well, thank you. I'm wildly impressed with everything that we just heard. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about your experiences. And I'm going to turn it over to Kate Collins, upper school head, who's going to ask you some questions related to campus life and Carroll memories specifically.
Great. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. How did you feel when your parents told you that you were going to be attending Carroll?
So I was miserable when my parents told me. I was extremely happy at my public school. Academically, I was not succeeding or it was doing horribly. But socially, I had plenty of friends. I wasn't a troublemaker, so even though I wasn't doing well, all of the teachers liked me. So as a fourth grader, I was really happy with where I was. So when my parents uprooted me and told me I was going to the Carroll school, my life was kind of ending. And I honestly, it took me a full year at Carroll before I got comfortable here. Every morning I woke up with a stomach ache, and my mom always told me I was faking, but even still this day I will tell everyone that I legitimately every school day woke up with a stomach ache because I had to come to Carroll. But after a full year, by the time I hit 6th grade, that went away and it became my school. I realized I was starting to learn, I was performing better, and this place really became my school and where I wanted to be.
Yeah, I'd also echo that. I think the first time my parents told me I was coming to Carroll, I definitely ran up to my room and slammed the door, but I think coming to Carroll ultimately was like a godsend. I thought I was really good at reading, and I thought I was really good at writing, but when I came to Carroll, I realized that those things definitely weren't true. And through like the help of my teachers, I was able to like overcome that. But I think what I attribute to like the transition was my homeroom, my 6th grade year, was really tight, close group, and those were like I started my first friends at Carroll, and I definitely grew from there. So I think definitely that homeroom is where I had a lot of memories.
Anyone else want to share? We did prep them to not just have, often if you've ever been on a panel, by the time it's your turn, you kind of just want to say what they said. So we have prepped them that is not necessarily how we have to do this. So moving on to the next question, and feel free to join in and share if you have a contribution. So how easy was it for you to meet and connect with others here at Carroll? And by others, defining that at that larger community, so the adults and your peers, both younger and older.
So when I first came to Carroll, it was the first year that the lower school had opened, so it was really a good year for me to enter in because it was new for everyone. And I just remember coming in 5th grade. It was nice because that whole first week was just getting to know the Carroll community in a sense. There were no classes, there was kind of just getting to know everyone in the community. And I felt a sense of like security even back then, of like I can commit to like coming here for school and like understanding who my teachers are, who I can go to, but meeting friends inside as well. So I feel like that first week hit home for me, especially transitioning from public schools to coming to Carroll.
I remember during orientation, we had a teacher, Miss Palmer. Yep, Miss Palmer made the comment that we're not here because we're disabled. We're here because we're different, and we learn differently. You learn differently. We all learn differently, and we're here together to learn some strategies and ways to make it work. And that was the first time it was the way I learned was presented to me in a way that wasn't disabled or whatnot. And that was a real moment where the community, I remember crystal clear. I don't remember a word she said during that orientation other than that. I couldn't tell you where she said it, what room, but you know, it was somewhere down the hill there. But just hearing those words just made me so much more comfortable and felt like I was in the right place. Like some of these guys have said, I had very not nice things to say to my parents when they told me I was coming. But hearing those words and kind of taking the edge off of you know, things that I saw as negatives about traits, negative things I thought were negative, were immediately flipped into more of a positive or just a different spin on it, which helped a lot.
I'll add to that.
Is this on?
When I was in public school, I wasn't going to amount to much, and that's basically what the school had said to myself. I was by myself inside of a world that just, there was no one else like me. So when I came to Carroll, and this isn't all easy for us. I think every day we all struggle with dyslexia and how to navigate the world. But coming to Carroll actually opened up our eyes that there's other folks like us. And we learned where we need a little extra help and how best to manage that and survive in the world and thrive in the world. And I think I'm amazed at the panel, how well the panel is all done, and I think that goes to the Carroll School themselves as they arm us to be successful in life, but it still takes a tremendous amount of work. It just was a peace of mind that we were with others like us, which was somewhat peaceful.
Thank you, and that actually segues into the next question. And you mentioned thriving kind of after Carroll, and can one, or even for this one, maybe all of you, speak to something that you experienced at Carroll in Founders, Fab Lab. I hear we got some inventors up there. We got some, I think I heard engineering. It's not really my brain, but and was there something here at Carroll that helped that part of you shine and bring you where you are today?
Yeah, I definitely remember going here and going to the Birdhouse project in 5th grade, and that definitely resonated with me quite well, and I kind of found some skill and some deep interest in that. As a kid, I was always super curious into how things were made, and how I remember, like, as a kid, my go-to channels to watch on TV were like the Science Channel, Discovery Channel, History Channel, and then like maybe I would go onto some like kids channel. So it was great to actually have an experience of like being part of an assembly line and making something and getting that insight. And there was also, clearly a bit of an entrepreneurial side to that project as well, with selling the birdhouses. So that definitely helped gauge my interest in making things and continued my interest in woodworking while at Carroll. And then when I went off to high school, I got the access to metalworking and got to learn how to use basic machines to machine parts and do some welding, and then transferred into doing a mechanical engineering degree with a minor in manufacturing, and then building a company that does manufacturing.
I think for me, one thing is I'm typically the person who tries to rush through things. So Carroll kind of told me to take a step back and especially read it slowly so you make sure you get it right. But I think that's also transitioned into my regular work, where sometimes I'm just trying to complete the task as fast as I can, but to know to slow down and take my time with something and make sure that you get it right will ultimately help you in the end, instead of rushing through it and then having to review it and fix up a little mistakes, but just taking your time to do it good the first time will definitely help you in the long run.
I still to this day credit Mr. Newhall in 7th grade with my wanting to be an attorney. We were doing civics in 7th grade, and he gave out Bill of Rights bookmarks to go into our books, and then we did the Bill of Rights through ABCs. So A, apple, the First Amendment, you eat an apple, it's free speech. And still to this day, I remember all of those. And so it was not just the interest in the subject matter that got me to want to be an attorney and interested in that, but also the confidence, not just from Mr. Newhall, but from all the teachers, that it's something that if I wanted to pursue, I was smart enough to do it, and that they would help me along the way and give me the tools and training that I need to pursue whatever sort of educational path I wanted to go down.
I'd add one other thing that folks with dyslexia and LinkedIn just finally put something out that dyslexia is actually a skill, which I don't know if you've heard of before. But folks with dyslexia really have a different way of thinking, and the world benefits from that. But that doesn't mean we're perfect at everything. In fact, there's a lot of things that we're not perfect at. Some in math, some on the English side of reading. It takes me 10 times longer to read something than most people, unless it's something I'm passionate and truly interested about. And that's what I would say for all of kids with dyslexia is they have certain unique superpowers. And finding that passion is really something that will allow them to be very successful in life. And I think all the folks up here have found that, and that's what Carroll School does, is open that up. One, to learn how to overcome your challenges on a day-to-day basis, but be able to lean into those areas that you're very, very strong in.
I would also just say that it's not specific, but I would say that being able to stand tall and just say I'm dyslexic is like a trait that Carroll definitely taught me to not stand behind it as a disability, but stand like, I'm not a dyslexic person, I'm a person with dyslexia, so it doesn't define me, it's just a trait. I remember the first sentence of my college application essay was, I'm dyslexic, period. That was the first sentence, so that's how kind of I introduced myself to the world, the college for the next 4 or 5 years that I was there.
And I think like the biggest skill I was able to take away from Carroll was how to self-advocate and learn how to apply that afterwards. I really didn't know much about dyslexia until I came here and understanding like how my brain works, and like feel like everyone on the panel understands it too. Like you have your strengths and you also have your weaknesses, but how do you help your weaknesses when you need to self-advocate in that sense? I've been able to go to my professors at my university and talk to them and be like, this is what works for me, and they're able to apply that. So being able to learn how to like ask for help has been a huge factor of how I've been able to get where I am today.
Yeah, I guess to piggyback on both of those, on the kind of being kind of proud about being dyslexic, my company's registered as being a disabled-owned business owner because of my dyslexia, and it's clearly on our website, and if anything is somewhat of a selling point. Obviously that's highlighting it as a disability, but for at least the people that we get to talk deeper about that, they also get to understand that it's a perk as well. Previously, I've talked about how I actually keep like my neuropsych report from when I was leaving high school and going into college in my desk drawer at work, and like occasionally I'll just hand it to an employee and tell them to read it if they want to learn more about how to like better interact with me, or I'll read it because I honestly kind of forget some of the details. So I'm like blunt about it sometimes.
Yeah, for me, just to piggyback, like I think the most important thing that Carroll did for me was it just showed me that I could do it academically if I just really put my mind to it and I had the right people around me. I remember not being able to read or write. I remember at my old school I had to miss out on recess, and all the other kids were shooting hoops, and I'd hear that ball bouncing outside, and I'd have to be working on reading comprehension or math. So yeah, and then ever since Carroll flipped that switch for me in 6th grade, like from then on I just took it super personally in high school and college. Like I was super mad, crying if I didn't get a 90. So yeah, I just kind of put my head down, and yeah, of course, even through college, like just took it super personally, and yeah, it worked out.
Okay, this question's gonna seem directed right at Roy and Greg, but it's for everyone. Are you still in touch with any of your Carroll friends?
I am, actually. Yes, Greg and I are still in touch a great deal. I had my 30-something birthday the other day, and besides my parents and my wife and my child, him and his girlfriend were the only 2 other people invited. Yeah, I mean, friendship's important and not necessarily easy to make at a place like Carroll, where people are coming, from here, there, and everywhere. And our parents did a great deal of work to help foster that friendship and keep it going. I grew, like I said, I grew up in Belmont, grew up in Newton, so it was an easy commute, during, over the weekends when we were both in school. But then after Carroll, we didn't go to school in the same state until never, because we were done with law school before I finished grad school. So yeah, it was a lot of work on holidays and summers by our parents before we got our driver's licenses to shuttle us back and forth. And that, I think our friendship was pretty tight. We were lucky because we had our schedules 5th grade, barring one tutorial block a week, were exactly the same. So we got to spend a lot of time together. So it was either we were going to love each other or it was going to drive each other crazy. But the friendships definitely helped us get through a tough time. And I mean, we've all kind of alluded to it, that it was, we all came in here a little banged up and damaged because school was hard and we were told a lot of things that weren't true by adults and kids alike. And making that connection definitely helped a great deal.
Our parents are still besties too. They go hang out together without us a lot of times. So there's that aspect of it also.
I think I also definitely text some of my friends at Carroll occasionally. I don't see them as much as I'd like to, but the friends that I made, I was also a camp counselor at summer at Carroll, and the friends I made there were a few of them who were also in my grade. Those are the friends that will last a lifetime. Like, we often hit each other up. When there's breaks or holidays, we visit each other on the weekends, and those are the friends that I think have really stayed with me and will stay with me for the rest of my life.
I use some of my friends from Carroll for business development. So last week, after doing this, I delivered some parts to Ben Spooner, who I went to Carroll with and then Proctor with, and now he works at an engineering company that does automation. So we made some parts for them. So yeah, it's still got some friends from Carroll.
Great, so I just learned we should probably be generating data reports that students should bring with them that they can keep in their desk drawers. All right, noted. All right. If a few of you could share, how specifically did Carroll prepare you for high school?
I think Carroll specifically prepared me for high school by letting me know to go to my teachers if I need any help. I think at Carroll, oftentimes, like, the teachers always ask you for if you need extra help. But in high school, like, a teacher won't be doing that. But Carroll does teach you that, like, if you do go to a teacher and ask for help, that they're always willing to give that time. Or if they don't have the time, to lead you into the direction where you can get extra help. So being proactive, knowing that I am gonna need some help occasionally and need some extra help outside of the classroom. So in high school, I would go to any of my teachers after class and be like, hey, I'm not really getting this. Could you take some time to explain it to me? And if they don't, maybe there's like a YouTube video that would help me. Just like being proactive and going to a teacher to ask for that help is something that Carroll definitely taught me.
I think on top of that, Carroll also taught me when to know I need help. So leaving here with the assets that, okay, Brian, you might struggle in this area, this area, this area. Watch out for that as you go, into high school, because not all high schools are going to be looking after you. Whereas Carroll, you kind of had that blanket of teachers looking after you. So as you go on to the unknown of high school, kind of understanding where your struggles might come up and then to ask for that help in that area.
Yeah, kind of as a parallel topic, Carroll helped me find the right high school for me as well. And I got really fortunate in that my family has a strong relationship with Steve Wilkins, who was the head of Carroll while I was here. And before that, he was the head of school at Proctor. And he was able to clearly identify that Proctor was the right fit. And I think the other high school counselors also, that was definitely their strong recommendation. And it was definitely true that Proctor was the right fit for me, and it gave me the opportunity to go to a high school that could provide quite a lot of support and kind of help reduce the amount of support that I needed as I went through high school, kind of in preparation for college, without having as much support. But similar to what others have said, definitely the self-advocacy, speaking up, being kind of blunt about it again, especially for standardized testing for high school. Definitely did all I could to get as much help as I could. I remember standardized tests in high school, I took them over 2 days over the weekend, had a reader, had my calculator, had as much support as was possible. So, and Carroll definitely made me aware that it was okay to advocate for that.
I would reiterate to that as well too. I think they did a great job of figuring out what schools fit great for each student. I remember looking back in like 8th grade, I was like interviewing for a lot of high schools, but I remember specifically when I went on Foreman's campus, I knew like it felt like just like Carroll. So like, yes, I was changing schools, but I knew personally that like it wasn't going to be a drastic change if I'm going to a whole new school. I'm gonna have to like get adjusted to like the way they teach. I knew right off the bat, like I can succeed here and I could see myself succeeding there as well too. And a lot of the skills, like I said before, was the self-advocacy piece. I think at Carroll, I was able to learn about what I can and cannot do, but once I got to high school, I was able to apply it. And when I went to my university, I was able to apply it even more and get the help that I needed there too. Academically, and by the end of my 8th grade year, I knew I was not ready to go back to public school, but I needed a little bit more support before I went to college. And Carroll found the right school for me, and I wouldn't be here without them, so yeah.
One thing I'd add too is that Carroll School taught me from an acceptance standpoint that I was different. So going back to high school allowed me to not compare myself to the kids around me because I'm not going to work the same way. So I stopped saying, oh, they can do this in 2 minutes where it would take me 4 or 5. I understood how I needed to survive in that world and thrive as opposed to trying to compare myself to those folks who don't have dyslexia.
That's actually a perfect segue, David, into my next question. And some of you have touched upon this in a few different ways. But if some of you could share, how has Carroll affected your life or changed how you think about yourself?
I feel like a boost of confidence. I don't know. Like I feel like I'm not as like shy or like I just remember the idea of school. I hated it, and it was for me. It was just more of a social atmosphere, just to hang out with my friends. And my mom and dad knew really fast, like I wasn't able to find that like joy of like loving to go to school and learning, like it's going to be hard to find that like later on in life. So once I was able to come to Carroll, I think it's like kind of having that voice, and I'm able to like again self-advocate, but also understand my strengths and weaknesses and apply it to like everyday skills in life.
Yeah, and I think confidence is definitely one of the big things, ability to problem solve and clearly highlighting that. I started my business while I was still in college, and I just kind of figured it out as I went. My sister's quite an academic. She went to MIT, got her master's at MIT, and now she's thinking about starting her own business, and then feels like she has to get a second master's before she starts a business. And I'm like, well, why? Just do it and fail a couple times, and you'll figure it out. It's not that hard. But she feels like she needs that rigor and guidance to do it. But I think Carroll is definitely a big factor in my, willingness to fail and confidence to just try stuff.
I'll go even broader. I'll say everything. If I did not go to Carroll, I would not have made it to a great high school as Proctor. I wouldn't have made it to college. I wouldn't have made it to law school. Wouldn't have made it through law school. The school professionally is literally responsible for everything that I have achieved, professionally and educationally. It really means everything to me.
So I was in that same history class with Greg with Mr. Newhall, and my interpretation of the class and what pushed me to what forward was a little different. I knew that coming after being at Carroll and seeing the compassion and the commitment of teachers and creativity of teachers and what impact that had on me and my peers, that it was something I wanted to do. And clearly now that I'm a special education and history teacher, I've taken that literally. And just the perspective of my time here, obviously the learning and learning to read, learning to write, getting a little better at math. I still struggle with that, but that all is for sure. But just taking away from the teachers and seeing some people here that were here when we were Greg and I were here. The compassion, the understanding, the patience, and the willingness to go the extra mile. And it's not necessarily a big grandiose gesture, but just asking a question or listening or whatnot had a major impact on me and made me want to go into education.
That's great, thank you. So you may remember the banner that's outside, and the quote really captures the essence of the dyslexic advantage. It reads, "People with dyslexia view the world differently. Isn't the world lucky they do?" And another phrase that we've also adopted is, "Great minds think differently." Can you speak to how thinking differently has benefited you in school, work, or really any area of life?
I can go first. I think thinking differently has definitely helped me in my job. We have these meetings twice a week. They're called solutioning meetings. It's where someone will bring a new idea of how you can do something. And the purpose of that meeting are for people to try to poke holes in that idea and to be like, I think like this might not work, or this might, or something else. So the ability to think differently, I oftentimes find myself being like, well, have you thought about this? Will it continue to work in this circumstance? And someone's like, oh, well, now that you mentioned no, so like definitely the ability to think in that different mindset has definitely helped me in my career. See the different ways like we can develop something, or see the different ways we can do something. So I think it's really helped me.
Yeah, I echo that as well. I think I work particularly well in groups because I think everyone else's mind that I work with is wired in the exact same way, where they're going A, B, C, and my brain will come at it from an entirely different perspective where I may not see A, B, C, or my brain may not work that way, but I'm hitting Z, X, W, and they're never even getting there and looking at that. So I think the school, kind of trains you how to think in the way that you need to, but you can't teach someone that's brain works unlike ours to do what my brain can do. And so I think if you can start to kind of learn the tools and traits that everyone else's brain does, but you keep your critical thinking skills and the wiring of your brain, and can bring that to a group, I think there's just so much value add there that it is unique to the people sitting in this panel and at this school.
I think for me, thinking about this question, I relates a lot to me at college. When I was looking at colleges, I personally knew. I remember touring UConn and just seeing an empty lecture hall. I was intimidated by all the empty seats. And I just knew if I was in a lecture hall with like 150 people, I'd be like online shopping the whole time probably. So I knew going into this, like looking at universities, I needed to be in a smaller classroom setting. And similar to Carroll, like it's a very small classroom setting, but a big factor to it also is that they're conversation based. And when you're in a lecture style and you're not really talking about like the content that's going on in the classroom, I know that works better for me. So I apply that even in work, like when we have meetings or anything like that, conversations go a long way. Instead of like a lecture base, I feel like for a lot of people it just takes it easier because you're really communicating about like, what's going on. And I learned all of that through Carroll.
I would even expand that more, that like I needed to be at a college that was a collection of people who thought differently. And specifically for Stanford and Silicon Valley, that's kind of the heart of what Silicon Valley is about, is how do you think about problems in different ways. And so one of the things that I learned while I was in college was that being smart is not that rare. A lot of people are smart and can be smart, but thinking differently and having a combination of smart and thinking differently is really what will lead to success. And that's what I do basically every day, and that's what I did in college, was invent. And so how do you invent other than kind of thinking in different ways? And so that's what I'd say.
All right, thank you. I'm sure there's a lot that some parents are interested in hearing. In a little bit, we're going to open it up for some Q&A. But just to kick us off here, what advice would you give to current students or parents?
Have patience and understanding. The Carroll School definitely teaches kids how to survive and thrive in the world, but the work never stops. So as they leave the Carroll School, there's still going to be frustrating times, and it's still going to be difficult for them. Like anything as a parent, because I am one now, and my child is going to the school here, is that it's short-lived. I mean, they're going to go to high school, and then they're going to go to college, but it's going to keep changing. It will be a short period of time. But I can promise you that the way that they think, the more that you can encourage them to continue to think differently and to find their passions, the more successful they'll be.
I think this is probably what my mom would say 10 days into me being at Carroll, but now I can say is just trust Carroll. Trust them that they know that your student is the right one to be here, or trust that they think that you are going to be successful here. Trust them that whatever high school they feel is the fit for you is the right fit because they've done a million other times. That's what I would say.
I would also say that when you leave Carroll, always come back. Like, Carroll will always accept you. I worked here in the summer. That became, like, the best part of my summer. When my, dad told me I had to get a real job, I was like, this is a real job. Like, this is, the best part of my summer. And I know that last summer, I ended up, sobbing in my director's arms. And, that was the best part about it. So I'd say, always come back. Come visit your teachers. Once you're a part of the Carroll family, you'll always be a part of the Carroll family.
You want to go? All right. I would say that it's you don't always see the progress every day or every week or every month, but it's there and it's happening through the repetition and understanding of what's being taught and the skills. So I think that's one, and two, even when the progress is being made, it's hard. I took 6, 7, 8 years between undergrad and going back to grad school because I was just burnt out. And we've all learned, and your kids are learning a lot of great skills and strategies to learn on how to learn, how to do all these things. But it does take a lot out of you. And there's going to be times where you can't do anything. You just need to step back and get off the train for a minute, or 6, 7, 8 years, but you can go back. So I just think knowing it's hard, knowing it takes a lot of energy, and if you see bumps in the road, that's normal and that's fine. But that Carroll gave us the skills and ability to know when it's time to get back and get moving.
I think one of the big things for me that helped was just having the opportunity to just kind of explore some of my passions and kind of learn about what my interests were. And no matter what those end up being, there's always a career path that can kind of lead into that. And I at least kind of believe that the earlier that you find that, the easier it will become. It allowed me to maybe, when I was in high school, be able to pursue some of the metalworking and kind of engineering courses, which helped lead me into a college already knowing what degree I wanted. And so definitely just, trying to enable those outlets, or if you see a direction, a passion, just kind of provide them with the resources to do that.
I would say definitely just embrace the adversity that you're gonna face. You can't really run from it. And because all of us, I'm sure, face that adversity at such a young age, and at middle school and high school, I remember in college, things get hard in college, and students that have never struggled before in high school or middle school, they kind of just broke down, and I have felt those struggles before, so when it would get hard, I could just kind of push through, and that allowed me to push through. Some kids couldn't do it, so yeah, the adversity just helps you in the long run.
Such great advice, thank you. And I can say, Trevor, my daughter is a summer at Carroll student, and every day she would come home and would just be so elated that so many former winter school students were her counselors. And I also witnessed the sobs on the last day. You were not there, but this past summer, there was not a drop. It was so bad that I started crying as I was driving off campus. They were so sad it was over. Okay, so what do you know now that you wish you knew during your time at Carroll?
I knew that what I learned from Carroll is that it's okay to get things wrong and make mistakes. I felt like when I was at public school, like similar to Trevor, I was kept in all the time for recess if I didn't complete my homework, if I didn't finish a test, if I got the test completely wrong, like that extra help, and I saw those punishments, and I feel like with Carroll, it's okay to get things wrong and learn from your mistakes. It still applies to this day too, that I value making mistakes because you're just one step closer to getting it correct. And I feel like a lot of us can relate to that as well too, because we've been told that once you get wrong, like that's that. There's different steps of correcting your mistakes, and I learned a lot of it from here.
I'll actually answer the correct. I don't think there is anything I wish I'd known, but I'll say that as a credit to the school that I think, for example, I would want to tell myself on day one that like it's going to be okay and you're in the right place, but this school, it took a year, but this school made that apparent to me and taught me that. So I think the school is just so well at giving you everything that you need to succeed as a student here that I don't think there's anything I would need to tell my younger self because it was all provided and given or shown to me.
Just give me a little wait time. One final question before we open it up for Q&A. So you have all shared a lot, thank you, and so much of what you shared today has articulated so much about what Carroll has meant to you. If you were to describe Carroll in just one word or phrase, what would that be? And it would be great to hear from everyone. So, one word or phrase, how would you describe Carroll?
I mean, it's gonna sound cliche, but I think helpful is definitely the word I'll give. Is Carroll's helped me in ways that like I couldn't even describe, and I'm so like grateful for the opportunity that my parents forced me to come to this school. But it's definitely helped me in the long run in ways that I know we've all mentioned.
The word I would use is an accelerant. And what the Carroll School really does is empower and allow somebody to fire up, so to speak.
I'll go with a phrase, and I'm going to kind of steal this one from Renee because I think it's so perfect. This school changes lives, and that's amazing.
Tough because I have nothing to say. You stole my words. I would say life-saving. I had a first grade teacher who told my parents I would graduate high school, and because of this place I did. And then some.
I just think back to Carroll memories, and the one word that comes to mind is just fun. Definitely a lot of great memories here. Probably some memories that can't be experienced anymore, like the bomb shelter and stuff like that. But and I definitely remember things like the Cape Cod trip and building birdhouses and just building some great memories with friends.
I would say transformative. Very similar to that past story. When getting diagnosed with dyslexia in second grade, my second grade teacher told my parents that like, not everyone goes to college and like it'll be okay. But I went to college and graduated, so it's kind of nice to like kind of have that as like a push in a sense. So that transformative aspect is like I would not be the person I am today without Carroll.
Accepting. They taught me to accept because they were accepting themselves.
Yeah, super cliche, but yeah, life-changing and also just fun.
All right, is that everybody? Great. So at this point, I'd like to open it up if anybody has a question. And if you do, please stand up and just make sure you speak loudly. Enough.
Hi, I'm Shay Chattel. Did I teach anybody drama up there? Wonderful. I was curious while you were here, we may not have had the phrase dyslexic advantage, but while you were here, did anybody discover a passion, a talent, an interest that propelled you into your current careers or really intense hobbies?
So I started playing lacrosse here, and Coach Apollo was my coach. And if it wasn't for her, I actually played lacrosse at LaSalle University, and so I was able to play at the collegiate level, which was pretty cool. But looking back at it, I started here, so my first practice was down at the hills over there. So yeah.
The Bounders program for me is huge. I come from a family that likes to be outdoors, but never went on backpacking trips or rock climbing trips or anything like that, and that's the biggest passion of my life. And then because my drama teacher is here, I will credit you to this day with not having a fear of public speaking, was doing all of these middle school plays.
You're doing great public speaking.
Thank you.
I would say woodworking. That's a small side hobby, and it's because of the woodworking shop. Although I still have all my fingers, so and that shop doesn't exist anymore, so that might be a reason why it doesn't exist. But I am happy to see that it's transformed into other things like 3D printing and things like that. It's definitely a big bonus that I learned from the school, is that building element that didn't exist in the lower schools of public school.
Karen?
If there's one thing that you could say to our children if they were here, what would you say? Anyone. Not to us, but to them. Because you've been in their shoes. What's the three words to you?
It's tough. It's like saying one magic word and you're they could jump over buildings. It's hard to say. I can't come up with a word, but I will say something that was very powerful to me was to learn how successful people with dyslexia can be, to see examples of that, to kind of show them what's possible. And I know the school, when I was a kid here, they often had speakers come in and talk about that sort of thing. I would say that was very, very powerful. So if they aren't aware of folks and how successful they've been with dyslexia, I know you can search it up online. It is a very powerful tool to see how successful folks with dyslexia have been, to say, oh, I can do that too then.
I know someone else said this before, but I say, like, don't compare yourself to other people. Like, when you leave Carroll, like, you're going to be in classes with people who don't have dyslexia. And if they finish a test first, like, don't be discouraged. Like, it's the end result that matters. So if you take your time, you might end up with a better score than that person. So I think don't compare yourself. Just put your head down and do your own thing, and you'll be successful in that way.
To steal one of the part of the mantra from Brookline where I teach is, this is hard, you can do it, and we can help. You know, it is hard. Like, there's no two ways about it. It's a learning in certain things in life are a challenge. You can do it. Like, you're here, we're here, you know, to get the skills to be able to do it, and we can help. You know, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say, something's too challenging, can you show me another way? And it's okay to lean on the people around you here, or, you know, home, or moving forward after here, to help make sure you can get there. And like I think everyone's alluded to one way or another, being able to ask for help and advocating for that help is an unbelievable skill that I cherish and value to this day as well.
I think for me, it would be to have a growth mindset with it. I feel like a huge factor to it is that a lot of us, when they came to Carroll, we did not want to be here, and coming with that mindset is like, I want to go back to my old school. What am I doing here? Like, that idea of it. But if you look at it a different perspective of like, I can grow here, I can like excel here, and like seeing the possibilities that are able to happen here, I feel like just going in with an open mindset is huge.
Other questions?
Hi, thank you for being here. I guess I'm wondering, professionally, have you ever been in situations where there was an expectation that you did something a certain way, or it was taking you too long, and have you had to sort of advocate for yourselves professionally?
Not for me. I mean, I think I'm always constantly advocating for myself, but I think I'll do whatever I need to do behind the scenes to make sure that never happens. So if I know I have something that needs to get done in a week and it's going to take me more than the 40 hours that a normal person would stay in the office to do it, I'll stay nights, I'll work in the morning. I'll do whatever I need to do to get it done, because that's just how I have to work and how I get things done. So it's never come up for me where someone's been like, hey, I need you to read this in 30 minutes and turn me in an essay explaining how it works. It's just not that. The world doesn't work that way. You get a project, you've got enough time that if you can't put in the hours, you're willing to put in enough hours to get it done, you will. So I've never encountered an experience like that.
That's an interesting question, because as a parent, I think you're concerned that they're going to be faced, our kids are going to be faced with challenges that they won't be able to overcome, and how does that work in the working world, which is spot on. For dyslexics like myself, the first time I do something, if it's brand new in class in front of people, I fail miserably, so much that you have to learn to laugh at yourself. But after the 5th or 6th time of doing something, or after a dozen times, you can actually do it better than everybody else in the areas that you have a strong aptitude in and a passion for. And I think successful folks, like the folks up here, they go towards careers that they truly like and enjoy. And when you're in those situations, well, yes, you might be faced with something that you might need to take a little bit more time. It's not like a school environment where they ask you to answer these questions, these 10 questions inside of an hour. You might need a little bit more time, but more times than not, the things that you're doing, you can do faster than other folks because you're in an area or a passion that you enjoy working in.
I feel like for me, huge factor is deadlines for me and asking beforehand, and I learned a lot through Carroll, but also in high school too, so kind of like mapping out like sections, like when do you think this time will fit into completing work. Also is helpful for me in starting working, has been asking for like examples or mock-ups from previous work. That helps me so much, and I save all of it too, or any work that I've submitted and it's good, or if it's not, I take that comments and I fill it out, but it's just to have to back up and like reference when I'm doing any other projects or anything like that. But I guess that self-advocacy comes with it as well too. So you do learn that here, and it does apply over time. But even just meeting with your teachers or just asking for an example, anything like that, I feel like it's so like normalized now. So like I don't know. I feel like even if with our strengths and weaknesses, everyone asks for it. So it's just been really normalized now.
Any other questions?
Sure. Should be asking this one, but I'm going to. If there's one thing that Carroll could add, that you know now, that you wish that you knew then, that you could address to this awesome woman who is taking over the head of the school, what would it be to give her and her staff some understanding of where your struggles still lie today, and what could be helpful maybe to open a door for the children that they could entertain of adding to their curriculum that would be beneficial for them?
I think when I went here, I wish the Fab Lab already existed. I'm definitely so jealous of all the students who get to take part in it, and even just the access to things like 3D printers and laser cutters and all those tools now that's became so accessible that I really, if the birdhouses were quite meaningful to me, the Fab Lab probably would have been even more tremendous. So if anything, I'm more just jealous of what's been done since
Okay,
I've
so
been here.
check.
I mean, I would just say that technology and assistive technology is ever changing and changing really, really fast. And so I would think that an important thing would be the technology that I used in 2014, I hope they're not using anymore, or at least it's better, you know? So I would think, like, as you leave Carroll, one of the most important things for me in high school and college was having that assistive technology, whether it's text-to-speech, and how to use it really proficiently. That, to stay up to date on the newest technology, I think would be really important.
There's no more Kerr's Lab.
See, I don't even know, I don't remember that, because
I remember.
And also to piggyback off that, as like a software engineer, like I was never introduced to coding until like my senior year of high school. And I think like as the world like moves on and technology becomes bigger, I think if like we were able to introduce or be introduced to coding, I know there's there's softwares where there's like basic coding classes, or just like the ideas of coding, not like coding necessarily itself. Like those could definitely be huge helps to show a different path and be like, the world's not all reading and writing. Like there's other stuff too.
Great. One final question? Dunkel.
So, I just want, first of all, it's good to see everybody. By and large, I don't like panels, but this one's pretty good.
Yeah.
I just want everyone to know this is pretty reciprocal. They're where they are, but so are we because of them. I don't normally like to talk in these things, but the students, the kids, adults, oh my God, kids.
They're grown-ups now.
They had their struggles, they had their tears at Carroll. I taught some of them up there. I don't know how many times I wanted to throw Pearl out a window, but I chose not to.
He would have just backflipped and then landed.
Just so you know, I watched
Star
him
gymnast.
walk up the stairs on his hands one day. It was pretty impressive. So it is reciprocal. I feel like I'm the teacher I am today because of some of those struggles they had there. Steve Wilkins used to ask us when we started here, why do you want to work at a school where it's really difficult to teach these kids? And 11 years ago, I looked at Steve and said, I need a job. It ended up so much more than that for me, for being honest. And I see these guys up here, and I used to say things like, oh my God, they made it, can you believe it? But I look at Trevor and Perla, and I'm not surprised. I'm not. I'm happy. I'm really fulfilled right now having been here, and I love that you came back. Thank you.
I might shed a tear. Okay, before I turn it back over to Dr. Renee, I do want to just show, this is the little elf. And this is Brian's invention. And I was one of the first round of supporters, I think, on Kickstarter. My entire family has one. And I will say, if you are like me and you are up for hours on December 24th, or you just generally really like wrapping gifts, this is amazing. It is amazing. So if you want to come and check it out, and it stores on the roll. There's no cardboard here, but it's pretty genius. And if you Google him, you can see it on Shark Tank. So I just want to say thank you. This was incredible, and I wish you the best of luck. And please come back often. Right? Isn't that what your advice is?
I just had to tell Allison this isn't QVC, this is the Carroll School. I feel like we need to do equitable promotions here, so other people own businesses too and are engaged in deep work. So make sure that you hang around and talk to our alum. But here's what I want to say. I am thankful to all of you. Here's why. All the parents in the room, caregivers in the room, raise your hand. Okay. You showed these families what's possible after Carroll. Yeah? Raise your hand if you're an educator in the room. Matt Dunkel sort of stole my thunder, but you're reminding all these folks that their work matters all the time. So, thank you for helping us to continue to grow our culture of giving through your time and your advocacy. You took time this afternoon to leave your lives to make a choice to come back here to your Carroll School family. Here's the thing, we have over 3,500 alum. 8 here today. 8 really unique stories from a large family that comes from one profile, right? So, our impact as a school is great. Here's just 8 amazing versions of impact. So, hang around. I don't know if there's business cards anymore, probably not. But chat, invest in our alum, and let's give them one more round of applause.